Good afternoon to all of you who are viewing me this hour. This is a new method of farming that we call yam back farming. I have with me here the seed of yam. I'm going to use this seed to demonstrate to us how this new farming technology works. We have various types of yam species, and each differ from one farming experience to the other. We have some yams that takes up to a whole year before it can get matured. Of course, the gestational period of yams range from month to month. The least you can get just 6 months. 6 months. And if it is 6 months, that means that you cannot farm yam more than once a year. There is this narrative that says that yams can be found twice a year. I don't think there's a technology yet that gives us that ability of farming yam twice in a year. What I know for now is that we farm yam once in a year. What look like 2 years is that yams produce two sets of fruits. The first one is the whole yam itself. And so if that particular species of yam is matured between the months of June, July, August, September, you can harvest that particular yam and then wait for the seed yam to sprout out by itself. So, having said this, I like to go, take you through this particular routine of how these things are found. It's a new technology. Behind me here is a two bags of sands I have heaped here. These bags is to take the place of our normal farming. We'll plant this yam inside these bags. And what is so peculiar about this is that you can farm at your own environment, you can farm at your own space. And it's of course recommended to people who cannot go to farm, who cannot go far into the bush to look for a land to farm. So in your own little space that you have, like here for instance, I can farm to about 50, 60 bags here. Nothing stopping me, and I'll get the result that I needed, that I would have gotten if I go into the bush to farm. So, but you must have in mind that this is bag. Look at it. Come close so that people can see this bag. This is a bag, and it's a bag. So this is the farming technique. So, if I want to, for instance, plant this particular farm or this particular bag, what do I do? Number one, you must make sure that the soil content, the soil itself, is suitable for this purpose. Rich topsoil. A rich topsoil. The soil must be very rich. Don't just go and carry any kind of sand and in the name of farming inside bag and then now begin to plant your yam. It will not do well. The reason why you complain of low yield is because number one, the size of your bag matters, and then number two, the kind of sand you use matters a lot. Remember, the farm where you went to fetch this sand from, or the environment where you went to fetch this sand from, is a whole plot that thrives majorly on some certain conditions. But here you're going to be conditioning this particular yam inside the bag. That's why it didn't do well. So if I have a topsoil, for instance, and I'm not too sure of where the topsoil is from, if I'm not too sure of the texture and the rich deposit in that soil, I'm not too sure of the fertility of the soil. What do? I will have to go and augment. How do I augment? I will have to go and get what they call farmyard manure, FYM. How do I get my farmyard manure? You can go to this Fulani settlement and get your farmyard manure, or you get to a poultry to get chicken drops. These chicken drops helps to augment your sand. Last week I showed you how to do that. You can revert back to that video. You augment your sand so as to make for the deficit of the soil fertility. I am too certain of this soil, that's why I'm not going to introduce farmyard manure on it or in it. I'm too sure of the fertility. So because I had planted yam in that soil before and I had seen the fertility of that soil, so I am coming now to just to plant it straight without augmenting for the soil. But so many of you went to somewhere you don't even know how the fertility is. You got the soil, you put them inside your bag, and you had a very low yield. Don't forget, it is a low yield, number one, because number one, the fertility of the soil, you are not sure. Number two, you have conditioned that yam inside a sack. It is not going to have the kind of freedom that it used to have when it was planted on ordinary ground. The freedom of spreading its roots will not be there. You have conditioned it to a bag. That's the difference. So if it is conditioned to a bag, you must make sure that the kind of bag you are going to be getting. Number two, it's going to be a big bag, not cement bag. If you get a cement bag, there are too many things wrong with it. A cement bag that is not properly taken care of will even destroy your plant, because the cement bag itself contains some chemicals. That chemical in those bags will not be good enough for the maximum yield of that particular yam inside that bag. I have had people complain that I will show by pictures that this yam, look at the way it's germinating, look at the leaf, it's turning yellow. It is turning yellow because of the chemical nature of that bag. That chemical nature in that bag, you are not careful about, has affected, number one, the sprouting of the yam, the germination, and of course, the entire growth process of the yam is stunted. So if you want to have a good yam bag farming, what do? You look for a good quality bag. Bag like this is a rice bag, for instance. It's a 50 kg. A 50 kg bag, this is it. So what do? I will put my sand inside this bag, not half. Because if you put your sand half, if your sand is halfway on this, inside this bag, for instance, I put it here. Remember, your yam will not go or may not be able to go through this point. This is the point. This is the point. This is the bag. This is the content of the bag. This is the base of the bag. It may not be able to go down through the base and break through this leather, through this bag, penetrate to the ground. You have already conditioned it. So your sand must be much inside this bag, number one. And then, of course, you must make sure that your yam planting is up and not down. It must be above the half mark. So if you have a 25 kg, for instance, bag, because a cement bag is about 20 or 25 kg in it, that's the capacity it can carry. So if you have that kind of bag and you plant it halfway, what I was just saying is that you don't want your yam to grow beyond the bag itself. So if you have a 50 kg bag and you have a sand, you have sand up, you must go beyond the half of the bag to plant your yam. For instance, come close. If I want to plant this yam, for instance, look what I'm doing. I will plant my yam and then cover this way. Now, can you see what I have done? This that I have done now will give the ability of the yam to germinate, number one. Not just germinating. It has the ability of maturing or yielding its fruit downward before it could get to the base of the bag. I will have gotten what I wanted. That's the technique. So some of you had a low yield last year because you did not take this thing into cognizance. You did not fathom this in your preparation. So and number three, if you want to plant yam this way, you must also get vegetable seeds. Seeds are very important. There are some yam that takes 4 months, 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, 9 months, even a whole year to mature. So you have to source for the kind of yam that you want to plant. Don't just assume that every yams are the same. No. They vary in maturity. They vary in types. For instance, in my place, we have what we call Ewushu, Owala, Obokpo. These 3 types of yam are the types that mature earlier. They mature earlier than other brands and other varieties of yams. So if you have Ewushu, for instance, and you plant Ewushu, for instance, like now, you plant Ewushu today, And it will take about, now this is January, February, March, April, May, June, July. You can start harvesting ewuchu by July. That's 6 months. While someone that have planted since last month, someone also has planted ewuchu since November last year. So join all together. Those are planting in November last year can harvest in June. Like in my place, we harvest ewuchu by June. Ewuchu is what we call gambari. It's what Hausa people call bakin kogi. Those such kind of yam trees better in the waterlogged area, in the Vadama area. The trees better. The street better. That means that they behave better in a waterlogged area. So such kind of yams, if you condition them to a sack, you have to take proper care of them. Constant watering. If it is the ewuchu I planted, for instance, I should be able to water this yam once a week. Once a week. So as to be able to help me to germinate on time. So those are the technologies that we have in yam farming. Now I have done my plantation with this. The next thing is to mulch. Don't think that farming in a bag doesn't require mulching. It requires mulching. Mulching is the ability of covering your yam farm, your yam heaps away from sun rays, away from sun. The sun is going to be high from this January. By February, the heat will become too much. March, the heat will become too much. So if you don't preserve your yam seeds from the effect of the sun, there is the tendency that it will heat on it, the ground will heat on it, and it will get spoiled. So to avoid spoils, to avoid waste, and of course to avoid rotting, what do? You look for grasses and then mulch. For instance, let me show you what I mean by mulching. I'm going to cut from these stems. This is these are leaves. I'm now using covering them. I will cover it like this. By so doing, I have covered and protected my yam seedlings from being spoiled or heated by sun. Excessive sun has the power to destroy yams in your farm. Excessive heat, it can destroy your yam seedling in your farm that you plant in your farm. So to avoid that is to do this mulching. And then I can be watering it once a week. Once in 2 weeks. Until rain comes. Once rain comes, there's no point watering it again. So by so doing, my yams will have germinated. Once they have started germination, what I do next is to start watering. God bless you, man. Well done, man. So once that is done, is to start watering. Once I notice that it's germinating, is to start watering the yam. Remember, this is not normal surface farming. This is yam back farming. The conditions you have in your soil is quite different from the conditions I'm going to be having here. Already conditioned is already to what you want. You already conditioned this yam inside this bag into what you want. It cannot be the same thing as the one you have on your surface ground or on your mere surface. So this has already been conditioned to what you want. So you are the one that will now take care of it for proper yielding. You have to take care of this now for proper yielding. So whatever is applicable to what you do on the land surface should be applicable here, but now with care. Now with care. It can't be the same thing. So I want to also add that before I now conclude that whatever kind of yield that you can have on the ground surface, you can have the same thing here inside this bag. provided you're able to take care of them. So I believe this my little whatever explanation that I've made this afternoon is going to be able to help you so that you can be able to have a nice yam back farming this season. Don't forget, in your local environment, your little environment around your house, around your fenced house, you can also have your yam back farming around there. It could be 20, you can start with 20, you can start with 15, you can start with 10, provided the space that you have around you is big enough to accommodate this, then I'm very, very sure you should be able to have a good yield if you're able to take proper care of it. Of course, if you want yam seeds and yam sets for this year's season, you can always contact me, and I'm sure you have one of the best yam seedlings. God bless you. Thank you so much. We'll see you some other times.